Hello and welcome to the Art of Costume Podcast. I'm Elizabeth Joy Glass.
And I'm a goblin named Spencer.
You would be a goblin.
I would be. Dude, I've been dying to hear your thoughts about today's episode, which is all about Labyrinth.
Yes.
A classic of the classic as we get into our 80s adventure fantasy.
Yes. This movie was a journey.
Yeah. And to break down this journey, we actually have a special guest. I met this person as one of the costume nerds that listened to this podcast years ago, and we kind of just became friends ever since. I'm obsessed with this person. She is a designer, a milliner, a creative, a genius, a vampire, a witch, all the things. I'm obsessed with her. And also she just knows a lot about Labyrinth as well. Please welcome our friend, Ava Youssefi. Hi, Ava. So good to see you.
Hi, Spencer. Hi, Elizabeth. It's so good to see you too. I'm so happy to be here. I absolutely love the art of costume, and I've been a fan for many years. So it's such a pleasure to be here with you today and talk about one of my favorite movies, The Labyrinth. Very excited to be here in the Goblin City.
Oh gosh, we're so excited to talk to you. Yeah, do you remember, Ava, when we first met, you reached out through the podcast, and we ended up having coffee, and we talked about movies that one day we should do on a podcast, and one of them you said was Labyrinth, and I was like, we gotta get you on one day to talk about Labyrinth.
Yeah.
That was years ago.
I'm so happy that day is here.
Well, we have a lot to get to because this
do.
is a wild movie.
Yeah.
And this is your first time.
It was.
seeing it.
So, Ava, I'm happy you're here and know everything because I had never seen Labyrinth before.
Can I read the text that I got randomly this weekend at Sinesvia from Elizabeth? I was in the graveyard watching, oh my gosh, what's it called? Silence of the Lambs. And I randomly get a text from Elizabeth. This is all it says. Labyrinth is wild. I have no idea what I just watched.
It is very unique. It's quite the fever dream. And yeah,
It is.
it's a lot to take in.
And I kept expecting it to make sense.
No.
And then it didn't. And then David Bowie would sing something that I couldn't understand. And I would be like, okay.
Yeah, it's I hadn't seen it since I was a kid, honestly. It's been a long time. I've seen it before. I think we even had it on VHS and in the Williams home. But yeah, it definitely was wild. I mean, how many times have you seen this one, Ava?
I first found it when I was very young at Blockbuster. I remember I was just pulled in by the
Blockbuster.
cover art, and I was like, ooh, what's this? Let's rent it. And I took it home, and I've never been the same.
Right. Yeah. I think most people would say that after seeing that,
Yeah.
especially in the 80s. Could you imagine?
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Groundbreaking.
Labyrinth and The Dark Crystal are films that fundamentally shaped not just my taste in film, but I'd say my full identity. I don't know, something about the dark horror mixed with the absurd. And I just feel like Jim Henson is one of those guys like Miyazaki that has this very gentle approach to childhood storytelling, despite the darkness. And it just really hits perfectly for me.
I agree. Oh my gosh, Dark Crystal. That was, to me, when I was a kid, the scariest movie ever made. And I watched it
Scary,
all
really
the time,
scary.
and I still would be in tears almost every time. I thought it was so. You've never seen this.
I've never seen
I know
it.
Elizabeth has never seen any of this. This was not playing in the glass home.
No, it was not.
I think the feedback from that one was that's okay, but we can improve on this by adding real humans. And I think kids are really going to connect with that. So I'm glad that the addition of David Bowie and Jennifer Connelly was made. It turned into this beautiful cult classic film. And I watch it several times a year. It's one of my favorite films of all time.
Yeah, well, with that sounds like a perfect transition into our
Yes.
episode. Today, we are obviously talking about Labyrinth, so I'm going to give us all a little summary. Labyrinth, directed by Jim Henson. 16-year-old Sarah is given 13 hours to solve a labyrinth and rescue her baby brother, Toby, when her wish for him to be taken away is granted by the Goblin King, Jareth. Along the way, she encounters fantastical creatures, dangerous trials, and puzzling illusions that test her courage and imagination. And that is Labyrinth.
That is a very basic summary of Labyrinth. Yeah. If you've never seen it, that's the gist of it. Let's meet our costume designers. We have two this week. We have costume designer Brian Froud, who also worked on The Dark Crystal and The Dark Crystal Age of Resistance. And we have costume designer Ellis Fleet, who's just done Labyrinth.
Yeah, I looked it up just to see if that was a typo. No, this was her claim to fame. She did Labyrinth.
And Brian talked about kind of how him and Jim came up with these ideas when he was being interviewed by Forbes. He said, "It was Jim's idea to mix puppets with people in Labyrinth. What I saw immediately was a vision of a baby surrounded by goblins, because in folklore, goblins steal babies, and that's what fairies do as well. Visually, it's just a great image. Of course, the mixture of people with Muppets was very traditional for the Muppets. It wasn't a big step to do that for Labyrinth. However, it did mean we started to approach it in a slightly different way, that we knew what a human being in a landscape surrounded by puppets, what that energy is like, and how that enhances the story." And I did think about that because I was like, oh, like, this must have been like new for them, putting people in. And I was like, no, because it's Jim Henson, it's the Muppets. Like, he's always doing that.
Yeah, it was new, but also, I mean, but in the sense that also David Bowie was basically singing all these songs and performing for all these Muppets as well too. So
all the Goblin Muppets.
I mean, essentially, especially for Jennifer Connelly, like, your co-stars are Muppets, so that was, a feat in itself. There's a lot of great behind the scenes like videos you could go back and watch of like David Bowie performing and seeing all the actual like puppeteers working all the actual goblins around him too. It looks like a hot mess, honestly. It's a miracle that this film came out as amazing as it did.
I believe that. Brian said to Den of Geeks, on Labyrinth, I just did lots of drawings, and then we started to develop ideas for the script. That changed a lot. It was more medieval at one stage, then gradually we started to make prototype work, and other people came to work on the script, and it all snowballed from there. Which I'm like, I can still see that like medieval influence through like the Labyrinth.
Yeah. That's something that's very indicative of Brian Froud's style. And one of the reasons I feel like this film is as successful as it is that he was the full concept designer for the entire thing. So he designed, every set, every prop, every goblin, every costume came from his mind. And it's just all so beautifully unique and special.
Yeah. And you could definitely see like a very cohesive image from beginning to end.
You can tell there's a lot of love and thought put into everything.
The actual set design is stunning in this movie.
Oh, yeah.
By the way, I know we're a costume podcast, but I just like the actual Goblin City when they're like hiding in the houses.
Yeah.
It's very impressive.
No, that's gorgeous. That is gorgeous. And we have Ellis, who talked about the film to Podcasting Them Softly. She said about Brian Froud, he brought to me many sketches of costumes from which my job would be to create and realize the ideas and also introduce new detail or interpretation. My first responsibility would be to David Bowie and to Jennifer Connelly, then to the surreal costume ball. It has to be said that I employed a large team of people, from pattern cutters, sewing technicians, screen print, dye specialists, special effects creators, jewelry designers, makeup hairstylists, amongst others, and it is due to their continued hard work originality, and independent skills that we came to the finished product. Which, like, that's a lot of, yeah, like, they...
Much love and respect to the entire Jim Henson Creature Shop, their army of production and fabrication masters.
And they
Yeah.
had to be cohesive.
Yeah.
I mean, that was a team that had to work together flawlessly for it to look like this. And I mean, first of all, imagine having to, your responsibilities are David Bowie and Jennifer Connelly, so already you're horrified.
Yeah.
And then the actual, you know, Ava and I have talked a lot about like the Labyrinth masquerade events that people go to.
I want to go to one so bad.
So I was wanting to see like the connection to like the film, like where's that coming from? And then I saw that surreal costume ball that Ellis is talking about. I'm like, oh, okay, I get it now. Yeah. I get it. But we'll talk about that a little bit more later on in the program, as we are going to take a little break for us to venture into the underground, as they say, before we get into the costumes of Labyrinth.
Hi, I'm Dan, who does all the magic behind the scenes. I wanted to say thank you, and if you want to support the show even farther, go to tpublic.com/user/theartofcostume, where you can buy a couple variations of our logo on t-shirts, mugs, and stickers. Also, be sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe. And if you're an audio listener, leave us a 5-star review on Apple Podcast. Now, back to the show.
All right, everyone, are you ready to get into the Labyrinth? Because we started off with some banger costumes almost quite immediately. I just got to say, I was really it's been probably about 25 years since I've seen Labyrinth. So, like, I remembered the gist. I remember, you know, the songs. I've listened to the soundtrack since then, obviously. But when that opening shot of Sarah in her kind of, I don't know, Renaissance-y-esque dress.
Very medieval, yeah.
I was confused at first. I was like, wait, what period does this film take place in? And then I saw the blue jeans underneath. Then I really melted down. I was like, I'm so confused.
Okay. This was number one of Elizabeth being like, what am I watching? Because we have this beautiful scene. She's in this park, I assume. It's gorgeous. She looks gorgeous. Just like that, like, pale, like, pastel green, the goldish tan, like, accents the little cute flower crown. Like, she looks so good. And I was like, maybe this is like some weird introduction that, like, because, you know, sometimes, like, they'll tell you the plot of the story and then, like, it'll go into it. And I was like, maybe that's it. And then she opens up the book and I was like, wait, is she in a play? Is she like, is she practicing?
Well, when we first meet Sarah, she's mourning her late mother, who we can infer from Sarah's collection of playbills and photos was a successful actress and theater performer. So I think Sarah's way of coping with her loss is by surrounding herself with fantasy and make-believe. In this scene and like in the scenes that show her room, we can see a lot of fantasy novels, stuffed toys, posters, and slightly medieval inspired furniture. And I kind of love it. It's giving perpetually living at the Renaissance fair. And this beautiful sage green gown is very reminiscent of the Renaissance era, with the front lacing, the gilded trims, the long sleeves. And I feel like it also reflects Sarah's personality at the beginning of the story. She's very youthful and naive, imaginative, but a little bit constrained. So to me, I feel like the gown and the flower crown, it's conjecture here, but I feel like they could have been like stolen from her school theater's costume shop.
Yes,
and she
for
smuggled
sure.
them home. And I feel like it's a very strong choice for her first costume that we see her in that really establishes her identity. She's stepping into the Labyrinth fantasy world, and it's like subtly foreshadowing the transformation that she will soon undergo.
Yeah.
It really is a great introduction because it gives us the origin story with like 0 words,
Yeah.
especially seeing that bedroom and seeing, the music box with the dress on it, that we see her later in the masquerade. And I believe there's even like a picture of, it looks like David Bowie on her dresser, which might be,
Or was it a toy?
It was a little sculpture of him. And
Yeah.
like
Yeah,
if you really pay attention to the movie, pretty much everything that you see can be traced back to Sarah's bedroom. Like the sets in the later part of the film are inspired by MC Escher posters she has on the wall. It's really beautifully thought out.
it's just living in that perpetual state of make believe, which I think is it feels like even relatable even in the year 2025. Just us immersing ourselves in fantasy and movies and costumes and whatnot to just kind of take a step back. And she's taken several steps back at this point, but it's very relatable, I would say. Before we get into our next character, I just have to give, or before we get into more costumes, I just got to give a shout out to the stepmother, though, who really brings the period into this. So it suddenly is like, oh, this is an 80s movie when we see the stepmother.
80s
whose
power
name...
dressing.
Oh,
yes. My gosh. Her
yes.
80s blouse is the most 80s blouse I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah. I saw her stepmom and I was like, that woman knows how to dress, like just the most 80s elegance. I am a powerful woman, like 80s thing I've ever seen.
She's a corporate killer for sure.
Yes.
Yeah, for sure. And I looked up her character name and it's just stepmother. That's what it seems. So love that. Played by Shelley Thompson, by the way. But let's get into the costume that the very belligerent Sarah starts wearing in the first part of this film. She's really quite terrorizing this household for the first 15 minutes of this film.
She is. I was like, this is the person we're supposed to like. Like, I get it. Like,
no, she has a mentee beat in the first 15 minutes. Yeah, crashing out is the word I'm looking for.
Yeah, like she definitely like has issues to work through. Although her stepmother, I'm like, you're clearly rich enough. Just hire a babysitter.
She just wants to be asked and respected as she's starting to become a young adult. Like, how do you know that I'm going to be available to be at home to stay with the baby? Maybe I don't want to.
Yeah.
I am, but still, you better ask me.
Yeah.
Let's talk about Sarah's main costume that she wears into the labyrinth with that very fantastic dress, vest.
I love that vest. And I love the whole getup, honestly.
Yeah. The pattern really quite stuck with me the entire time. I just thought it was such a great choice, and it's obviously something that she carries on through the rest of the film, so I could imagine the decision making behind this was quite stressful. Ava, are you wearing a version of this right now?
Good catch, Spencer. I actually am doing a little bit of a soft Sarah cosplay today. This vest is an official Labyrinth reproduction done in collaboration with a local Los Angeles designer named Micheline Pitt. And so she made and produced these, and I was so excited to get one. I had to wear it today.
Yeah, I mean, no better place to wear it than our costume podcast.
Yeah.
Well, it looks incredible, and that was probably one of my favorite costumes. I also love how she pairs it with the jeans, though, too. And just somehow, those jeans really ground it.
I agree. I really love Sarah's like very obvious appreciation for historical dress. And I find this like casual blend of medieval, Victorian, and like 80s streetwear with the barrel jeans to be just really perfect and indicative of her character and how she's about to transform and embark on this hero's journey. And you can't see it in these pictures, but she's also wearing a very sensible pair of like leather loafers, which I think will be very comfortable as she walks around the underground.
Yeah. Especially when she goes through the bog of what's it called? bog of like endless stank.
The bog of eternal stench.
Oh, yeah.
Need a sensible shoe for that place.
Oh, you definitely do. I still can't believe they made it through that. I would, if I was her, I would have turned back. I'd been like, you can keep the baby. It's fine.
Yeah. That was the part of film where I started to be like, what? This movie is crazy.
That's where you started?
Yeah.
This is where I started.
It's only 13 hours to journey to the castle at the center of the labyrinth. It's no biggie.
No,
Right.
not at all. Not especially when you have David Bowie popping up in your brother's room looking like a medieval knight.
Ooh, I love the first costume that Jareth, the Goblin King, wears. It is
What an entrance.
it is like the entrance. He goes from an owl to this very blue. I don't even know how to describe it, honestly. There's nothing quite like it. I mean, I love the cape, and the cape is so very cool, kind of like Count-like in a ways.
Yeah, it's giving Dracula with the high stand.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it really is. But just like the iridescent blue as well, too, just also gives
Such a nice
rock
pop
star.
of color. Yeah, very glam rock with the velvet and the metallic accents and the lace cuffs. It's really respectful to David Bowie's rock royalty.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And one thing I think you can tell most in this costume, but that they did a really good job of in the film in general, was the layering of like textures and color is just spectacular.
I love the organically tooled leather work on this very like armor looking
yes.
jacket, and the gloves and the ridiculously huge villainous collar. It's so perfectly over the top, and
Yes.
it's at the same time like meticulously tailored. I love the sharp lines, and it just has this like the blue mixed with the black. It really leads into like the gothic side of medieval. Like the shape of the crest in
Yes.
the front of the jacket kind of reminds me of like a stained glass window almost.
Yeah.
Oh,
Absolutely.
That's a good one.
Or like the outer stonework you would see on like a medieval cathedral.
Yes.
It's perfect. And it gives him such like unbelievable presence in that first scene, because he just pops up and you're like,
He pops up in like a poof of glitter cloud that explodes
yeah.
all around him with like the Beyonce fan going in his hair and the makeup. It's so incredible.
That's what I love too, is that they were like, look, it's David Bowie. And David Bowie, I mean, he's always been hot, but at this point in his life, like
this
David
is
Bowie,
peak David Bowie.
peak David Bowie. So they're like, we're gonna lean into this 120%.
Yes.
Let me come in and be seductive and magnetic and alluring and hypnotize you with my crystal balls.
Yes. Oh my gosh. And like the very first thing I was just like, what is happening, was when he was like juggling the crystal balls.
Well, I have something to add to that actually, because I was fascinated with that, because I saw this picture you had of the man bear hugging David Bowie from
Yes.
behind, and I was like, what is that? And we have a clip from David Bowie coming up, and he brought this up, and I had to look into it. I don't know if I included it in a clip, but I was like, why is this man so close to David Bowie? Turns out David Bowie is, of course, not the one juggling, which I guess shouldn't be too surprising. He can do basically everything, just juggling wasn't on top of David Bowie's list. I read that it was Michael Motion, the renowned juggler and performance artist. In the film, he crouched behind Bowie, out of sight and out of his hands, through Bowie's arms to perform the seamless crystal ball moments. It was a challenging process requiring close synchronization between Michael and David Bowie. So you could actually find videos of this poor man trying to do the juggling while using David's arms, essentially. And obviously they know
Videos
it,
are
but-
amusing too, because David is like trying to act and have a serious face while all this is going on behind him as well.
The arms are just flailing. It's perfect.
Oh
So-
man.
Well, speaking of, obviously, we all miss David Bowie. He is an icon.
Rest in
I love
peace.
David Bowie. I've loved his music forever. And I just felt like we couldn't do Labyrinth without hearing like something from David Bowie about his experience. So I have like a quick, I think it's like maybe a minute and 45 seconds of just him talking about his experience. I figured it'd be fun if we could all watch it together.
Yeah.
So.
Let's do it.
He first brought me the concept on the 1983 tour that I did in America, and asked me if I'd consider doing the part. And he showed me Brian Frown's artwork, and he showed me a copy of The Dark Crystal, which I found a fascinating piece of work. And I could see the potentiality of making that kind of movie with humans, with songs, with a more of a lighter comedy script. Jareth is the Goblin King. One feels that he's rather reluctantly inherited the position of being Goblin King, as though he really would like to be, I don't know, down in Soho or something. But he's not. His thing in life is to be Goblin King. And he runs the whole place as well as he can. And he's kind of spoiled. He gets everything his own way. He's a big kid. What has happened is that the goblins, without his command, have just gone off and taken another baby brother from another girl, and he's got to sort out the whole situation. You remind me of a babe.
What babe?
Babe with the power.
Oh, what power?
Power of voodoo.
Voodoo?
You do.
Do what?
Remind me of the babe.
Oh!
Goblin babe. Well. Jim gave me a complete free hand. He allowed me to say what I wanted and write the things that I wanted. Dance Magic gave me a bit of a problem. It's a song for the Goblin King and the baby.
And baby said...
In the recording studio, the baby I picked, one of the backing singers, Diva, had this cute little baby who couldn't put two gurgles together. And it wouldn't work for me. I mean, it wouldn't go. I kicked it. I did everything to make it scream, but it wouldn't. It really buttoned its lips. So I ended up doing the gurgles. So I'm the baby on that track as well. I thought, what the hell? I've done Laughing Gnome. I might as well go all the way. We're back. I never thought in 20 years I'd come back to working with Gnome.
Oh gosh, that was so
that
much
was
fun.
fun.
I just seeing the chaos on that set. David Bowie really, I mean, he really acted his ass off when
Yeah.
you're working with a bunch of Muppet goblins.
I would have been laughing
You
my
remind me of
ass
the
off
babe.
the entire time.
Yeah. You remind me of the Babe. What is going on here? Well, we have more Jareth to get into.
We do, because he wears this legging and a leather jacket number for most of it. And Ellis said about it, we had a load of laughs with the stretched trousers over the various cod pieces. We also tried many different hairstyles and makeup effects before Jim and Brian made their final selection. To realize the character and then have the creative freedom to add or expand my ideas is a costume designer's dream. And when it works, it really is wonderful. And Spencer said something when we were talking about doing this episode right before, like, I got into like researching and watching it. He like made a comment about the cod pieces, and I was like, what are you talking about?
Yeah, well, okay. So obviously I manage the Art of Costume social media, and I get to go see a lot of costumes often and share them with the audience. And I got to see this costume probably 2 or 3 years ago at the Academy Museum, and it was incredible. It still is in great condition. To my surprise, I just at the time I was like, oh wow, this is a stunning costume. I right next to, the Goblin King. I shared it on social media, and the pure amount of comments I got on the cod piece really took me aback. So I actually gathered some of them so I can share them with you all. We're talking about David Bowie.
God.
The first one says, "Oh my God," that's by Native Texans. David Bowie was the first of many awakenings for me. King of the cod piece. This was the start of puberty for me. They put all the money in the top half of the costume, leaving the boys to carry the bottom half. That might be my favorite
I think
one.
so too.
There's one that just says me right now, and it's a pregnant emoji. I mean, it's really crazy. But then, of course, there's a lot of good ones too. Like, I would die to see this costume, is what someone said. Or the costumes for this movie are so underappreciated for the detail and iconic design, which I really do agree with. I mean, when I think of this movie, I guess people don't necessarily bring up the costumes first, maybe like second or third. And it really is such a great feat in costume design. And this costume, even with the changing sizes of the codpiece throughout the film, which is hilarious, there is so much great detail. I mean, we have a shot of the back of it too. That cape, the textile is incredible.
Shout out to the Adria Dyers on this one, because the breakdown is done so well. The way that this cape is rugged and worn and cascading down the back is really well done. It's a shame we didn't get to see more of it in the movie, but I'm actually very blessed, like you, Spencer. I got to see this costume in person at both the Academy Museum, and also about a decade prior, it was at the Seattle Pop Culture Museum in this like fantasy costume exhibit that they had there. And I too was like impressed by the piece. It's an amazing costume, but it's also like, wow, that was a choice. It's like comically prominent, especially there's like certain scenes where it's like, wow, it's right there.
It's right there, and it might be getting bigger.
Very hard to miss.
What's going on.
But it's like the perfect example of the film's playful, slightly over the top approach to sex appeal and costume design. And I am among the myriad of women who can credit this film as my first female awakening.
Yeah, there you go. Her comments in here, I just didn't put it up.
Yes, I'm represented. Good. I was going to say that the jacket is also really beautiful, and I think that it deserves its time to shine. I love the exaggerated asymmetrical lapel and the beautiful shoulder pauldron, and the belt is amazing too, especially that custom buckle. It has the same shape that Jareth's amulet, all of which was so beautifully thought out and designed by Brian Froud. It's the same. So I think that there's just all these like really beautiful, delicious little details in the costumes that you need to watch it through a few times to catch them.
Yeah. And I've always been a big fan of the shoulder pauldron.
You have.
Like, to me, I don't know what it is about a pauldron, but that gets me every time. We have some Muppets to get into.
We do. And I have to say, I want Didymus as roommate. I want him and his little dog to just like cheer me on all day, every day.
Such a fun character. Oh my gosh, Ava, I'm blanking. What was his dog's name?
Ambrosius.
Yes.
I'm obsessed with that name. I laughed every single time he called out Ambrosius. And Hoggle obviously was, I guess, adorable in his own right. He really gets there.
Yeah.
Again, huge credit to Jennifer Connelly for doing the job she did at such a young age, acting with these characters.
It really was incredible. I feel like Didymus and Ambrosia are very much like the ideal of like what she thinks like a knight is, and it's just like so adorable.
Yeah. Sir Didymus really is giving like classic knight archetype. He's dressed in like the mix of medieval armor and tattered finery, like a very chivalrous warrior who has raided a child's dress-up box.
Yes.
I love his little eye patch and the ostrich feather. They make him look so brave and dashing. Until you notice that his noble steed is this wimpy little dog, Ambrosius, that's always scurrying away from the action. It's also comical and absurd, and it's really endearing.
It's very endearing is probably the best word for it.
Yes.
But I personally was in love with Ludo.
Of course.
The big softy.
Yeah.
Obsessed with Ludo.
Yes.
So very sweet. And the whole time I kept thinking, like, do you think that's actually like a costume? Like, what's going on here?
Ryan Proud did an interview with Den of Geeks, and he was asked the question, something like Ludo must have presented real challenges for the creature makers. You draw something on a piece of paper, and then it's their job to turn it into a 75-pound costume. Brian's response to this was, with that costume, they had a lot of experience of big walk around creatures, big hairy creatures, and we really refined it. We had all the fur woven, but at the same time, we were having to explore much more about safety issues on the inside, the comfort of it. Jim was always really solicitous of the comfort of his performers, so we had to figure out ways of making it lighter, keep its expressiveness, get air in if we needed to, or get them out of it if it was on fire. All these sorts of things Jim spent a lot of money trying to get right, and there it is. It shows up on screen. I'm like, that was quite the journey for them, but it paid off.
Those suit actors, they really are suffering in those costumes. It's really an incredible feat of carrying this giant thing on their back while also trying to act. And Ludo and also Hoggle had animatronic faces that they had to kind of choreograph their movements and the movements of the face that someone else was controlling off screen. It's really so incredible, the work that they did on these characters.
I can't even imagine.
That makes it even more impressive.
I know, yeah, I'm obsessed.
Yeah.
I'm so glad we have you here to bring us these facts too as well.
I think the character Hoggle is really the most impressive. There was a small little person, a little woman in there, and yeah, there's some really great behind the scenes footage of her too, where you can see like she was really even struggling to pick up things with these gloves that Hoggle was carrying, and then she would have to rehearse her movements to be in tandem with, it's actually Jim Henson that voiced Hoggle too, so a lot of work went into making these characters really be lifelike and believable.
Yeah, which is, I mean, it's just incredible. I think a lot of people, when they think of a movie like Labyrinth or Dark Crystal, they don't really talk about the technical achievement that's really happening here for a lot of these performers. It's impressive,
especially because these puppets are like emoting so much.
Yeah,
like I forgot till we started talking about it. I was like, oh yeah, like Hoggle is, you know, part Muppet, basically part animatronic. Like
part
I kind of like
where the wild things are, part Yeti.
Yeah. Like you kind of forget that, like, oh, they're like putting so much work into this. It's not just an actor with great skill. It's many people with great skill.
It's funny that you mention where the wild things are, because I was thinking about that story a lot as I was watching Labyrinth last night. So, and then I realized
say Ludo, by the way, not Hoggle. Ludo is definitely where the wild things are. / Labubu, I'd say.
Stop. I was actually just thinking about that.
Oh my gosh, yeah, no, that's so correct. But that being said, though, I noticed at the end of the film, it's one of the very last credits. It says Jim Henson acknowledges his debt to the works of Maurice Sendak, who is of course the author of Where the Wild Things Are. And I just thought that's so interesting. I was like, wow, like he's inspired. So then I, of course, had to Google it because I'm insane and I wanted to know why that was there. Turns out there was a little bit of legal trouble at the beginnings of Labyrinth.
Ruh-roh.
Which I just found so juicy. So, of course, Maurice Sendak, who, by the way, good friends of Jim Henson. No love lost. They, obviously Jim Henson was very inspired by the storytelling of Maurice, and vice versa. They were good friends. However, Maurice Sendak had a book that was out called Outside Over There, which the story concerns a young girl named Ida who must rescue her baby sister after a child has been stolen by goblins, which obviously sounds quite familiar. So as the film basically got it going, some people were looking at what was happening here and they're like, whoa, whoa, whoa. Basically, we got to pull this back. But it sounds like instead of these legal troubles going any further, some conversations were kind of just had. Maybe some things were tweaked here and there. And it ended up with things obviously being okay. So I just thought that was very interesting. And one way that they kind of paid homage was that acknowledgement at the end. Jim Henson acknowledges his debt as the works of to the works of Maurice Sendak, basically saying like he's done some really great work, but then obviously it is a big inspiration to me. But then, like you said at the beginning of this, folktale goblins stealing babies has kind of been going around for a while too. So
Yeah.
We could get into that forever. But I just thought that was very interesting, though, that you brought that up, Ava, as well. Because
That's such a nice
yeah.
homage. I didn't know about that.
Yeah, I was like, yeah, where the wild things are.
He's very sweet and tender compared to the Wild Things are. Maybe that's where they tweaked things. I like that he ends up like being the scariest looking friend that Sarah makes, but actually has the softest heart.
Yeah. Yeah.
And is the most helpful, summoning rocks to assist them with their
Oh,
battle
yeah.
against the goblins.
course.
That was pretty amazing.
That
rocks.
was amazing. I was like, I need a friend like this.
Yeah.
Just
I'll try calling rocks for you next time.
you have many
I'd love to
skills,
hear what that
Spencer.
sounds like.
Well, there was a scene in particular that I was dying to see, and it was, of course, the
Same.
masquerade.
Yes. I thought this scene would be a lot longer.
Yeah, right? Oh my gosh, me too.
I thought this scene was going to be a lot more important. This was not what I expected, but it was just as beautiful as I imagined it would be. And Brian talked to Den of Geeks about it, saying, I think with Labyrinth, it accrues so much more when you keep looking at it again. It's a mysterious film because you think you get it. You think it's really quite a jolly romp, and yet there are some very dark places in it. We're dealing with metaphor. All the characters had designs in them, shapes and forms and ideas that give the film depth that only emerges over years. I think also the story it tells, because it's the story of an adolescent girl's mind, really, and about her growing up, speaks to new generations of people when they see the film. It's an odd film, if you can put it that way. It's sort of odd. But I love that because it's like, yeah, like especially like this ball scene, it's almost, I'm like, I bet that's how she feels like at school. Yeah. Like just this like lost girl. Everyone around her seems to know what's going on. And she's just kind of like trying to figure her way through.
Yeah. But then also fascinated with the idea that she ends up dancing with the Goblin King as well, too, which I think also kind of speaks to like the complexities that are kind of happening through this venture into the labyrinth as well.
Absolutely. And that dress.
Ugh.
Oh, the dress.
The dress.
The dress.
That dress is like almost overwhelming. The layers and layers of iridescent tulle and the glittering embellishments and the huge 80s hair and the tinsel ornaments, those puffed, frothy sleeves that like totally swallow her frame. I feel like the color was also intentional too, where like the white and the pale ivory tones suggest her innocence and her purity and her youth. And to me, it also kind of recalls Princess Diana's wedding dress that really sparked a kind
Absolutely.
of bridal trend
Yes.
and movement during this time in history. Sarah's dress, I feel like it's a symbol for like the cage that she's in. She has these like massive skirts that are like undoubtedly support with crinolines and petticoats that like are literally anchoring her in place under the weight of this costume. And she's kind of like a princess trapped in a snow globe kind of thing. And she's weighed down by this exaggerated, hyper feminine ideal. And then Jareth swoops in with his dangerous allure, and his outfit is the total opposite. It's got this, again, the very sharp tailoring and the decadent details, and he's kind of like an 18th century dandy. I love the rich velvets and the metallic brocades and the lace cuffs and the jeweled accents. And I feel at the same time, it's still like the cut is a bit modernized, which brings that rock star sort of silhouette that David Bowie was known for. And I feel like even his mask kind of reflects his duality between him and Sarah. It's kind of elegant and also kind of sinister, and it shows that his presence is commanding and also very, what should I say? Dangerous. Yeah, he's a predator. I want to say I also really love the masks in this scene. They're very, again, frowny,
Yeah.
and they're like not just like Venetian inspired and flattering, but they're also kind of grotesque. I like how the faces are sort of stretched and the features are elongated and their expressions are frozen, and it gives that sort of uncanny dreamlike quality. And I feel like there also could be, in a way, like the human personification of the goblins in the labyrinth, and their sort of predatory elegance shows like the beautiful, intoxicating, and deeply unsettling sort of nature of the goblins and Jareth's true intentions with Sarah.
Yeah, I love the mask actually, and I was just kind of impressed that the level of detail was, you know, taken all the way for every aspect of the camera. I mean, the camera could have pointed to anywhere in the room, and you would have saw something that was
Yeah.
just so incredible.
So
I
many
too,
beautiful details.
right?
Absolutely.
I too was mesmerized by Jareth's look, and I think we have some notes on some of the
Yeah,
costumes.
absolutely. And Ellis, she really put a lot of thought into Jareth, saying the trickiest pieces were most of David's, and they were designed to be highly original and didn't always transfer from sketch to actual garment. And I'm like, oh my gosh, if this is what we got, this incredible, cool, over the top jacket and just look, like, what couldn't they do? Like, what was so awesome? It just didn't work out.
Yeah, I mean, I even love that they add the blue into the hair, which is such like a subtle note, but that's one of my favorites. I mean, has David Bowie ever looked cooler? It's just this is
I
what
don't think
people
he
And
has.
singing to you at the same time and serenading you.
Yes.
I'll be there for you as the world falls down. Oh, so romantic.
I would
I
serenade
couldn't
it as well.
resist.
I wouldn't. I'd be like, we can stay in this ballroom. It's fine.
Yeah, please don't wake me up. We're already in Goblin world at this point. Like, let's just
Yeah.
keep going.
I'll
But
stay in
I
this
was,
masquerade bubble with you forever.
yeah, 13 hours doesn't seem like enough.
No, especially when you're wearing Sarah's dress, which Ellis talked about. She said Sarah's ball gown took a lot of sampling and camera tests to achieve. We wanted her to look like an otherworldly princess and very different to the others at the ball. The ethereal effect was achieved by many secret devices, including layers of lace lame and rainbow paper, spray paint, and broken jewels. And then the entire ballroom garments were distressed to look as if they had been dancing forever. Hemlines were broken down and dust was sprayed into the creases. The masks also present a sinister look to the event, don't they? The fabric choices for the ladies was chosen to give depth and color and also for movement, as you say. Although, of course, all dresses were crinoline underneath.
Yeah, that just picked up like my favorite part of the entire thing is how they were aged and dyed, like Ava mentioned earlier, to look as though they've been dancing through this ballroom forever. And that just kind of is my favorite aspect, where it almost feels like Sarah has been trapped in this, not trapped, but she's been in this fantasy, then this escapism for it's probably only been seconds or hours in the real world, but I mean, she's been in this vision for a long time, seeing
The
herself at this
fantasy is
event.
starting to decay and expire.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
so cool. And spraying dust in the creases of these, I mean, talk about the dream job.
Yeah. That is your dream job, isn't it?
Fun fact, I actually saw one of these gowns go up for sale on eBay a couple of years ago. The
What?
green
For how
one that you see
much?
that's prominently featured. I think it ended up selling for like $600, which doesn't even sound like a whole lot.
600?
Yeah.
I'd drop that money.
Yeah,
I'd do that.
Oh my gosh, you should have texted us. We could have went 3 ways.
Yeah.
On it.
I would have dropped it if it were my measurements, for sure.
Right. Well, next time, let us know.
Next time I'll let you know, Elizabeth.
we should just be like scanning eBay, and like slowly one day we'll open a costume museum.
Yes, please. It'll also be at the Art of Costume podcast studio. But one of my favorite costumes was actually toward the very end, when we have the final, shall you say, interaction between Jareth and Sarah, and the Goblin King appears in this very kind of pale, almost ghost-like, phantom-like costume with a whole bunch of layers, and I was just taken away by it. I just thought he looked so incredible and so striking. But also, there's like a purity about it too, where it's almost like you kind of believe the words he's saying. Yeah, I get it. You know, it just, there's such like a purity and like a charm to him, and this costume to me really sold it 100%.
Yeah, it's such a striking departure from everything that he's worn before. Prior to this, he was always very flamboyant and structured and commanding, but in this last scene, he appears haggard and weak. He's stripped of all those rich colors and the strong silhouettes of before, and yeah, he does have this very ethereal, exposed, sort of vulnerable quality to him. And I think like also Jareth's makeup has always been a giveaway, but now we can see that the white in this costume is acting as a direct nod to his connection with the barn owl, his animal form throughout the film. The look still has his elegance, but he's fading and losing control. And on the back, there's actually this crazy structure
The
made of
one
bones on
costume
the
to
shoulders,
rule them
and
all.
it's so raw and animalistic, and I feel like it alludes to his true nature of being the predator who's devoured his prey. And yeah, those final pleads, he's showing his desperation and real yearning for Sarah, and he's like barely clinging to his power and to desire and to the fantasy that he's built around Slara, and he's slowly losing it and unraveling.
And with that, I can't even believe it, but we're at the end of Labyrinth. So,
Woo!
but we're not done yet, though. Before we go, we're going to take a little break. When we come back, we're going to play our 2 favorite games.
Yay!
All right, everyone. We are back from the underground and back in Sarah's bedroom. So I think it's a good time for us to play our 2 favorite games, starting with giving this film a Stitch rating, which I actually find to be almost quite impossible for a film like Labyrinth. Ava, do you maybe want to go first then, since it might be a little bit more obvious?
Okay, well, I'm obviously going to have to give it a 5 because
Yeah.
probably my favorite top movie of all time. I think that the costume design in the Labyrinth is nothing short of legendary. Every outfit is unforgettable, and it's just one of those films that's earned this cult classic status, and it means so much to so many people. For me personally, The Labyrinth has been endlessly inspiring, and I'm forever indebted to the genius of Jim Henson and the team behind this movie. absolutely one of the cornerstones of my own design sense, and seeing that level of imagination and craftsmanship on screen is what encouraged me to pursue a career as a costume designer and fabricator. So I will have to give it a 5 out of 5 stitches.
There you go.
Yes.
Elizabeth, I'm very interested to hear your thoughts.
Yeah. Honestly, I'm with Ava. I was confused.
But you loved it.
But I loved it.
Okay. Well, that's fine, actually.
Like I was definitely confused, but I was just like continually impressed by it. 'Cause like clearly this is a movie you have to watch multiple times to get everything. But the work that went into it, everyone's performances, like it didn't lack anything. I think what I didn't understand was just my not paying attention enough. And like, you know, I feel like this is like one of those movies where like you got to do research about it and like learn more and more. And I think it's a 5 out of 5.
Dang. All right. 5 out of 5 from Elizabeth. Well, now I feel silly because I was going to give it a 4.
Why?
I don't really. I know. I thought for sure Elizabeth was going to go lower than me. That's why I let her go next. I mean, it's a pretty much like flawless film. Like you said, it's not lacking anything. The performances are spectacular. It's a technical achievement beyond its years.
Yeah.
The music obviously is fantastic. So yeah, I mean, I can't really come up.
Slaps.
The soundtrack slaps. That I've been new, you know.
I may not have understood what David Bowie was saying, but I was loving it.
You don't have to understand it, you just have to feel it. And you felt it.
I did feel it.
Yeah. So I will not fray from the pack and I will give it a 5 as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. So honestly, Ava convinced me. Well, and you not giving it a 2 like I thought she was gonna give.
You thought I would have given it a 2?
I was getting 2 or 3 vibes from you, not gonna lie.
Interesting. Okay.
Oh, Ava, I'm so excited to play this with you as I feel like you might be, you know, this moment has been coming a long time. Are you ready to play our favorite game, One Costume to Rule Them All?
Babe with the power, I'm ready. Let's go.
All right. Hit it, Spencer.
Okay, I'll go first this time. I thought about this for a little bit and I ended up going with Jareth's very first costume, the like almost Dracula, like almost like peacock Dracula that appears.
You love yourself a Dracula look.
It was the cape for me. The cape really like grabbed me right away.
Very useful.
Yeah, I loved it so much, and just it took my breath away when he appeared into that bedroom. Because, you know, I mean, Sarah's begging this man to take the crying baby away. And he gets there and she kind of wants to be like, no, don't take him. But then she sees him and she's like, well, but if anyone was going to take him, you know, because he just looks
I guess I could chase after you in a labyrinth.
And I now have to chase you around in a labyrinth for 13 hours. So I just think this costume is just so charming. It speaks a lot to the character, his royal aspect, but then also at the end of the day, it's David Bowie. I felt like the costume designers knew that they had to continue to bring the rock star quality with all of his costumes, because honestly, can you imagine going to this movie and he was wearing like very pedestrian clothing? Everyone would have been like, well, what's happening here? Yeah. If our podcast was around, we would have been like, what is this?
Yeah. What are we talking about?
yeah. So love it. That's my one costume rule them all. Several honorable mentions, but I'll put them in the chat.
All right. I will go next. My one costume to rule them all is one I have seen my entire life and was afraid it would not live up to the hype, which is her ball gown. Like, because even like from Labyrinth, what I knew about Labyrinth was that ball gown and David Bowie's hair. That's all I knew about Labyrinth before seeing it. And I was like all over the internet, there are so many like studio pictures of her in that dress where I was like, it looks gorgeous, but like, I hope that's not just like, the stage pictures making it look better than it actually is. Oh my gosh, so much better. Yeah. So much better than I was expecting. Like, really lived up to what I was seeing and then some. So, yeah, Sarah's fall gown.
Yeah, stunning one. Ava, the moment we've all been waiting for. What is your one costume to rule them all?
Well, Spencer, actually, I was going to pick the costume that you chose. So I'll have to say that my very close runner up to that would be Jareth's final costume. Um, what I really love about that final look is that it reframes the character of Jareth. He's not this glittering rock star tyrant anymore. He's desperate, diminished, pleading, and you really feel for him. I just love the diaphanous fabric and how it's blowing in the wind, and you get to see this vulnerable side of him. I feel like it reveals the real, true nature of Jareth underneath the spectacle, and all of it amplifies this sense of fragile power and emotional unraveling, and making his final confrontation to Sarah with a very intimate and epic finale. Also, we love a man who yearns. We really do.
Yes. Yes.
So that
We
would
should
have
have
to
had
be
you on our Pride and Prejudice episode
Yeah.
also.
talking about men who yearns. Yes, I feel like Mr. Darcy and Jareth would have a lot to talk about.
Oh, yeah.
Wow, that is a great connection. But I take pleasure knowing that you also were going to pick the Peacock Dracula look too, because I kind of saw that coming, honestly.
I have a confession to make. In middle school, I dressed up as Jareth for Halloween, and that was the costume that I made.
Do you have a picture?
Brilliant. You are going to have to share it with us.
I wish I did. I do not, sadly, but you're just
Oh,
going to have
man.
to imagine it.
I can imagine it. I bet you even had like the hair going too.
That's amazing.
Honestly.
The wig obviously was going off. Yeah. And none of my classmates knew who I was, but my teachers all knew and they loved it.
Amazing.
They're like, what is happening here? Well, Ava, it has been such a joy having you with us. I've been looking forward to this forever. I was trying to do this episode last year and it just didn't work out in terms of like, our themed months that we love. So I was very much looking forward to this. We love you. Thank you so much for being here and being part of our costume nerd cult family. It's not a cult.
Never a
but
cult,
family.
Spencer.
Yeah.
Never.
It's such an honor to be a part of your family cult, Spencer and Elizabeth. I am a fellow costume nerd and a diehard Labyrinth fan. So I want to sincerely thank you for bringing me onto the podcast. And it was such a pleasure to talk to the both of you.
Yeah. And where can everyone follow you
Yeah.
and see all the great things that you're always doing?
You can follow me on Instagram and I'm sometimes on TikTok. My username is Pigment of Your Imagination.
All right. And I really recommend you check out her Instagram and TikTok because she does the coolest stuff. I'm just obsessed with your artistry, your creativity, your designer. I can't wait till like one day you are this huge costume designer that we get to interview on this podcast because I very much see that in your future.
That would be such a dream come true, Spencer. Thank you. And I want to invite all of your fans to come to the Labyrinth Masquerade Ball. If you're a fan of this film and you're a fan of costume design, this is really where you can actually step into the world of the Labyrinth, and people come and they bring their own designs and their own characters. And I myself included have been going for the last decade, and it's the best party in Los Angeles. It truly is. It's been going on for nearly 30 years at the historical Biltmore in downtown Los Angeles. So please come next year and join us.
Yeah, I think it's time. Elizabeth tells me every year. And Ava, you've told me as well too. So next year that has to happen. She said it on the podcast. No, it has to happen.
We're going to manifest it like we just manifested today.
Yes. Yeah.
And with that, our 80s adventure month continues because our next episode is one that we've been talking about for a little bit behind the scenes. And it is
one of the most fun 80s classics. Raiders of the Lost Ark, the first Indiana Jones film.
Yeah, which I'm very excited about. And I will admit, I don't know that I've seen this Indiana Jones.
Really?
I know. I've seen Temple of Doom 2 million times.
Huh.
I must have saw Raiders of the Lost Ark, but I don't remember as much. So I'm very excited to... I know I've seen the second one. I saw the one with Cate Blanchett, but whatever.
We don't need to talk about that one.
Yes, I'm very excited. In the meantime, if you also want to tell us what your favorite costumes were from the Labyrinth, email us at theartofcostume@gmail.com. Follow us on Instagram at theartofcostumepod, as well as our TikTok, where you'll probably be seeing clips from this episode.
Yes.
At the Art of Costume as well. And please leave us a 5-star text review on Apple Podcasts or rate us on Spotify, because it really does help. Or we'll send a Goblin King to your house to kidnap your children and hopefully feed them to the goblins. But
I don't think they were eating the baby. They were trying to turn the baby into one of them.
well, all right. Sure. That's what they want you to think.
All of those little mini goblins are going to be snacks for Jareth anyway one day.
True.
That's what I'm
Get
saying.
tired
You know
of
what?
them.
True.
Like
Yeah.
brunch.
Thank you, everyone, for listening. Thank you, Ava Youssefi, for
Thank
being
you.
here. And we hope you all have a
Thank you
good
so
week.
much, guys.
See
Take
you
care,
soon.
everybody.